Welcome to the Budget and Finance Subcommittee meeting of May 18th, 2023. If you're calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. If you are watching on a computer or device, there's a raised hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. Please use either of these options to be recognized to speak. And tonight we have Kevin Gargan, the captain, fire captain and EMS director for the Gloucester Fire Department. We have Jill Cahill, who's our CAO. We have Diane Katz, who's the assistant city auditor, and with us tonight we have Mern Sibley and Jenny Benedict from the Sawyer Free Library, and we have John Dunn, the chief financial officer of the city of Gloucester, and we have Sherry White, who's our recording secretary. Everybody. And first up, we have a memorandum from the DPW director for transfers. John, I guess you're going to explain some of this. Mike left.
Yes. So again, it's just transferring some available funds around to basically fund central services, motor gas and oil. So no surprise that as rates for gasoline and oil have bounced around quite a bit, that they might run a bit short. So they're just trying to backfill from available amounts in other accounts. So we have 3 transfers: SBT 12, SBT 13, and SBT 16.
Okay. Any questions about this?
So can you just confirm what the reason is? Is it just because of the increase in the cost?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So basically, the general fund fuel and oil account is carried in one section of the DPW budget, which has multiple departments. So when they want to transfer from one department to another, that's when it has to come here.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, how do you want me to read these? So you fixed them so that they're gone from here, correct?
Correct.
Okay, good. All right, so Budget and Finance Standing Committee moves to recommend the City Council approve budgetary transfer 2023 SBT 12 in the amount of $6,000 from DPW Engineering salaries and wages temporary account number as noted to DPW Central Services motor, gas, and oil account as noted for the purpose of covering the cost of diesel fuel and gasoline for all city vehicles for the months of May and June in FY23, and I so move.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. The Budget and Finance Subcommittee moves to recommend that the City Council approve special budgetary transfer 2023 SBT 13 in the amount of $19,000 from DPW Central Services salaries and wages temporary account as noted to DPW Services Central Services gas, motor, and oil account as noted for the purpose of covering costs of diesel fuel and gasoline for all city vehicles for the months of May and June in FY23, and I so move.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes unanimously. The Budget and Finance Standing Committee moves to recommend that the City Council approve special budgetary transfer 2023 SBT 16 in the amount of $7,000 from DPW Facilities Maintenance Wages Hourly Permanent account as noted to DPW Central Services Motor, Gas, and Oil account as noted for the purpose of covering costs of diesel fuel and gasoline for all city vehicles for the months of May and June in FY '23, and I so move.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Item number 2 is a memorandum from the captain and EMS director, Kevin Cargan, of the Gloucester Fire Department about ambulance billing and collection policy for FY '24, and I will hand it over to you. Captain Cargan. Cargan.
Thank you. Good evening, councilors. This is, we're just looking to adopt a new ambulance service billing and collection policy, which this will be the first time in 5 years where we're going to increase some of our rates, including our mileage, BLS emergencies, ALS 1 and ALS 2. And as well as we're looking at our uncollectible debt, which is a total of $589,843.02, which is a time period from January of 2020 to end of June 30th, 2021. This is over a 365-day period that we're looking at that we were unable to collect after trying to get funding from people who are using ambulance.
That's sort of an annual,
It's an annual write-off that we do.
and you've had to come before us, you had to, or the department has.
The
had to come
department, as
before
this
us.
is my first time.
Has had to come before us
Yes.
on that bad debt.
Yes.
Everybody remembers that. So
But Kevin, you said the number is a 3-year, is it 2020?
January of 2020 to June of 2021, so the 18-month period
Okay.
that we're going to be writing off.
So the number could be higher, but it's more current.
Yes.
One question on this, is this a fire department responsibility to like chase the money? Is that go to the treasurer's office, auditor's office, or do you just?
So the way it
How's it
works, is after a call has been completed, we get the demographics of that patient. And then we go through a quality assurance, quality management, where we try to review. And if that information, insurance information from that patient, we are not able to get, what has to take place is I review the call. And then I will go to the hospital, have a contact with the hospital who provide that information. I'll backfill it in after the call has taken place, and then it'll be shipped off to the billing company, and they will bill.
But that's a fire department exercise, is not auditor or treasurer's office. Just learn something every day. It sounds like it's a very specialized set of skills to be chasing money like that, and it's not really putting out fires as much.
Yeah.
So,
Very much an administrative duty.
yeah,
I have a question. So is it primarily because the folks don't have insurance or because their insurance doesn't cover it?
Yeah, so sometimes some people don't have the means to pay, or we can't identify the patient, or just can't find where that patient came from a lot of times.
Excuse me, Kevin, for interrupting. If you go to one of these pages in your packet, this kind of tells the
Tells a
detail
story.
a bit. Really kind of doesn't matter too much which page, but
Yeah,
you can kind of see under the heading of primary insurance type. And maybe it's easier if you go to the first page, but it says, where it says Medicare, you can see that there's charges, and then there's a balance left.
I know.
And that balance is because Medicare is not going to pay the entire charge. We know that when we send the bill out, because Medicare is going to say that we're only paying this amount for that service, regardless of how much you send us a bill for. So in a lot of cases, you will see that there's a charge and then there's a balance and it's Medicare, and we're never going to collect that. In other cases, for example, you will see that it may say unknown as an identifier, and that means it says, Kevin pointed out, the person probably doesn't have insurance, or we don't know where the person went. You know, by the time they received the service, they got to the hospital, we caught up with them, they were already gone. So this is typical of what happens in the industry. We do have a company that does the billing for us. They're very professional. They do it for a number of services nationwide. And they are pretty astute at collecting what they can collect, but we're almost always going to have some amount of write-off, either because Medicare is only going to pay a maximum amount, or we really can't identify the person who the service was delivered to, or in some cases, people just can't afford it.
Is there any integration between this data and social services organizations or, whether it's state or local nonprofits that can help these people not necessarily pay their bill, but get insurance or get the health care? I mean, the health department might have a role in this to get the kinds of things that would help them, because if they're struggling with this bill, they're likely, not all of them, likely struggling with other bills too.
I imagine there's got to be initiatives out there. I'm not aware.
They can't share that data. They can't share any data they collect on a patient.
I mean, can they share with the patient? Here's ways the city can help, or the nonprofits can help.
Not
Also
aware
not
of
on-
any program.
Not on EMS, right, because
Right.
their job is to, hospital, absolutely.
Just, again, not about, let's find a way to collect the money, but to be helpful.
Yeah.
Because they're probably struggling in lots of areas, they don't have health insurance or other things, and this could be something, senior center, again, can't share information.
And I'm sure the hospital has those services, right, but if the EMS responders are there fast,
course.
quick, in the moment, and
I should, from the billing side, just put that kind of time, into people contacting people and.
again, he doesn't do the actual billing, we have a company that does the actual billing.
Or the collection.
They're the company. He just,
You should coordinate setting it up,
And
and then,
coordinate setting up and review all the calls, to make sure the practices are quality.
when you review call, you review the emergency call, you're not reviewing the call to get the money, sorry, I missed it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, if you want to, the fourth icon up on the left-hand side of the screen, there's a little arrow that goes,
Yeah, hang on,
because it'll be
It's
handy.
on the bottom.
It'll be handy when it comes to signing for you too.
oh, turn it. I knew that, but doesn't it turn the other ones the other way too?
Yeah. You can turn it back.
No, I think some pages are landscapes, okay, I'm good. Thank you.
I just saw you.
Yeah, Thank you.
So what we're, the first motion, what we're accepting is page 12, effective July 1, which is basically just a schedule of income, correct? And then, is that correct?
Yes.
So it's the income, how that building works, so that we're just, that's what the policy is there, we're just.
it's the rates,
The rates are going.
the
to
rates.
change.
And I apologize about what I said earlier about the policy, because we haven't changed it in 5 years. So this is page 12,
So the rates are going to change for the first time in 5 years.
The rates, but we're
Yes.
voting on that separate, correct?
That is part of the policy itself.
Oh, okay. All right, so, which is, and that is in your letter to the mayor, is the
Yes.
rate changes.
Yes.
Can you explain the difference between BLS, ALS 1 and ALS 2?
Yeah, sure. So basic life support is basically you're getting vitals, you're assisting the patient in the field, compared to an ALS patient is a little bit more advanced, where they're going to need an IV, cardiac monitor, 12 lead, medications on board. And ALS2, which is a very small percentage, it's involving some sort of electricity that involves, or an intervention, like a high acuity, low occurrence call, which is about 1% of our volume, which would be like an intubation, very low occurrence.
Right, I'm looking at page 9.
I got it.
Which those figures are not in our, in the motion, so I just wanted to be sure that that's a big part of this policy. And will this need to go to public hearing because it's a rate change?
I believe so.
No,
I can confirm what Joanne found, so.
so just so that everybody understands, go ahead.
I've got a question, it's kind of a technical question. But I understand that typically the fire department sends their fire truck. If fire truck can beat the ambulance, correct? So if the fire truck gets there and they're not doing the heavy duty stuff, but they're tending to it, right? I mean, so does that differentiate between the different level of these services, emergency, the BLS emergency and then ALS,
So
based on who gets there first, or is it whomever?
it all depends on what interventions take place
Okay.
while on the call until we get them to the hospital. Then we have basically a flow chart that they fill out each intervention that is then sent at the very end to the billing company.
Okay. So each one is unique based on,
Each call
What
is very
happens?
unique depending on what the chief complaint is, what their
Okay.
vital signs are.
okay, that's great, thank you, that helps.
No, I would just like to maybe make a motion. I just want to say, we are very, very lucky for the department, for the personnel, the skill, the training. I can say personally, I might not be here today if it weren't for the service. There's some people in this room that might be happy with that, but I would still say thank you. We should be, I can't say enough good things about the department. And obviously, this is not related to this motion. I just want to get that out there here or the full council, just to say thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm good.
I just, a couple of things. I was a little surprised at the jump in the rate, but now hearing that it's been 5 years, then that's far less surprising and understandable on a couple of these things. Councilor Gilman brought up, that the engines from the substations will arrive lots of times before an ambulance. If there's an occurrence where the engine arrives, but the ambulance also arrives, but the patient doesn't need, or the person doesn't need any transport, but they then not get a bill.
They did not get it.
Okay. So I just want to, for everyone, that the increases are, for the mileage rate is going from $46.08 to $55, which is understandable considering the costs of everything around vehicles, from insurance to tires to fuel, and mechanics.
What page are you on?
On page 9.
I'm still in there.
Yeah. Third paragraph. And then basic life services, the BLS, is going from $1,536 to $1,600, which is understandable. ALS stands for Advanced Life Support 1, is going from $1,824 to, I'm rounding up, to $2,300. And Advanced Life Services, which is extreme intervention,
Yes.
is going from $2,640 to $3,200. So I don't think these are unreasonable at all. I just wanted that noted. It's not in the motion. So, and then we have the bed. Okay, yeah, that's it. So, everybody's ready? I'll read the motions. Budget and Finance Standing Committee moves to recommend that the City Council approve the Gloucester Fire Department billing and collection policy as presented by Captain/EMS Director and approved by the Mayor, and further to approve the proposal fee schedule attached to and incorporated into the policy effective July 1, 2023, and I so move.
Second.
Discussion.
Just want to add one more thing. If I could. Maybe this is at the council level. We should probably say to people, don't ever refuse medical care because you're worried you can't afford it. The write-off, which is the second piece, is that sort of catch-all. I know people have said no to service and then they wish they hadn't. So if you could somehow remember to say that to the full council, just to make sure that message is clear. Even though the rates, the fees are going up.
I'm sure you'll remember.
I might not. But anyway.
Glory night. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it, passes unanimously. All right, next on to the bad debt. The building, as a Budget and Finance Standing Committee moves to recommend that the city council authorize the write-off of $589,843.02 in uncollectible outstanding ambulance billing. And I so move. Second. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye, passes unanimously. And on to the library.
Do you want me to switch again? Camera doesn't have.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind,
I'm
Jenny,
gonna just
because
be
it's not
closer to the
on.
door. Okay.
Do you want us to kind of push you
Why
out
don't
of
you
here?
just slide out into that door?
Thank you.
Because that's the best door to sleep.
So is that, do you want to take your photo? Your back.
Oh, that's me, sorry. Thank you.
This is. Oh, it's all up there already, okay. All right, so good evening,
Okay.
everybody. Guess I'll get started.
All right, well, everybody, I'll reintroduce. This is Marin
Okay.
Sibley and Jenny Benedict. Correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, so I'm
and they're gonna
present.
give us an update that we have requested. You know, to tell us how you're coming along with the building and all your fundraising activities.
The project, yes.
Project.
Yes, so this is our update, as Tony said, that we agreed to do every 6 months. Keep you guys posted on what's happening. Yeah, so I guess we could go with the next one. Jenny, thank you. Yeah, so this is the project team. I just wanted to give you a little overview. You're probably familiar with CMS as a project manager and Doran Whittier as architects in the city. They do a lot of city stuff. I just wanted to highlight our design architect, Odins Ello. Matt Odins is the principal architect for us, and he really, you should know, he's a library specialist. He has designed very many libraries all around the state, including, I just listed a couple, Belmont, Boston Public Library Branch, Situate. He won an award, a National Architecture Award for the Eastham Library in Cape Cod. So he is steeped in libraries and how they should work and how they should help people. So it's great to have him as our designer. So, and then W.T. Rich, I think they do city projects too, I'm not sure. Anyway,
Yes.
they're
they-
our construction
built-
manager at Risk. So
They built,
they,
they built, they were the, yes, they built
Are they
West
doing the-
Parish and they.
are they doing the new school as well?
Yeah,
They're doing a new school, they're gonna be doing the.
Well, then you know all.
And
Okay.
the, and CMS did this building.
Okay, there you go. Okay. All right, next slide, please. Yes, so the project is moving along such that we have an actual building committee and the people are all, you've had at least one meeting, right, Jenny, or maybe more? Okay. Jenny is the chair, and you should know that Jenny has had quite a bit of construction experience in other libraries in terms of capital projects, so this is not new to Jenny at all. And she's the chair and also the municipal agency responsible for the facility upon completion, which is part of the ordinance. And we have Peter Lawrence as a representative from the construction industry. Peter is an architect. We have Steve Gooddick, who's a well-known local contractor. And then Simon Paddock is our familiar with the use of such facilities in general, particularly because he's been on the library board for years, and he's also chair of the Building and Grounds Committee, so he's got a lot of experience. And then we have three great at-large members that have been chosen, and then Stacy Capone is the purchasing agent, who's I think required to be on, but anyway, it's great to have her too. And we have great advisors from IT and DPW and John Dunn, so that's great. We have lots of good people. Do the next one. Yes, permitting. So that's been happening since January, since we last saw you in October. We got the Historic District Commission giving us a certificate of appropriateness. They also like our exterior materials, right? Yeah. And the planning board has approved our site plan in February, and then the zoning board of appeals approved our special permits for off-street parking. And then last night, we were in front of planning and development, and they approved our height variance to be recommended to the overall council at a hearing coming up. I forget, is it the 13th? June 13th. June 13th. So that's the last big thing. So it's great. Next, please, thank you. So this is our timeline for construction. And so we are planning a groundbreaking, a big deal groundbreaking in October. That's not actually listed there. But yes, so we're now finalizing the construction documents, drawings, I should say. And GMP, we're gonna have a guaranteed maximum price in October, and then the bidding is starting basically soon or now, or where are we with that?
June 14th.
June 14th, very soon, bidding is starting. So that's all happening now. Current, and then you can see sort of the rest of it where the building will be actually open in later in 2025, middle of 2025. So that's what we call it, Sawyer Free 2025. So it's kind of amazing. Yeah, so let's see, what's the next one? The next one is.
Did you say the bid opening is on the 14th or the bid's going out?
Going out on the 14th. For trades.
Do we have the next page, Andy?
Here we go.
Yeah, okay, excellent, the financials. So you guys should be familiar with the overall number of 29 million, because that's what you approved. And we're just showing you the categories, the professional services being architecture and the furniture, fixtures and equipment of 1.4, contingency of a little over 3 for the grand total. And you can see most of the spending will be next year, fiscal 24, and so that's when we're probably going to be taking out our first loans. Happens. Okay, on to the last page. So the fundraising, what are we doing? So as you know, in October, you approved the $29 million loan, and at that point, our total was 15.2 that we had raised from grants and gifts and pledges, and now we're up to 16.4, as you see in the figure. So that's our top of our green there in the thermometer. And so we've done, over $1 million in the last 6 or so months. And we're heading into the really active season in Gloucester for fundraisers, fundraising. Summer is when people come back and we have, events and things happening. And so there, you should know the foundation, the fundraising arm of this project is planning a number of events this summer. And we're very optimistic that people will be listening, people will be ready to give. We're expecting a lot of great things this summer. And also we're expecting some good news from the state. In terms of adjustments to our grant. So the state budget is happening now too. It's like you guys are doing your budget. So we'll hear more in June on that. We're hopeful that we'll get that 2.8. And yeah, so I don't know if you guys have questions about this. This might be the most interesting slide to you guys at the moment. So I'm happy to, and Jenny is here too. She knows a lot more than I do.
So I just wanted to remind us as counselors, so part of one of the conditions that we put on, we gave the loan was that in 6 months, we asked you to come back. So this is the reason why we've invited the team of the library to come back, just to update us on that, which I think is important. I guess one of the things I would be interested in, I'm signing up for the library luncheon next week and,
Excellent.
See,
There you go.
but,
Another event.
but I'm just interested if you could just give us a couple of high-level goals that you have in terms of fundraising in the upcoming year, just so we're just aware. And what are the types of things that you're trying to do? This is kind of cool to see that there has been
Right.
a movement forward, but I'm eager just to find out just some of, you don't have to give me real specifics, but just some of the ideas that you have.
Right, well, as you know, there's communities in Gloucester that have concentrations of affluent people, so we're focusing on a few events there this summer.
Okay.
Also, there has been a lot of activity at the state level, as I said, with the state budget, and that has to do with the fact that there are 10 libraries who were awarded, 2016, were awarded library construction grants. And of course, that's a long time ago, and a lot has happened. And these 10 libraries are now facing seriously large charges for their construction projects. So they have petitioned the MBLC and the state to look into what can we do because of inflation and COVID and everything that's been happening. And so that is where the 2.8 million comes from. It's the idea that since our project is around 28, it would be a 10% bump. And that has not been finalized yet, but that's something we're very optimistic about. The other big chunk there you see in the pink, where it says federal program, that will be a forgivable loan that we will get. Again, we're optimistic. There's a lot of pieces to this, a lot of legal work, because these are tax credits. You need a lot of help getting this figured out from banks. And but we're also quite optimistic about that as well. And that would be available to us hopefully sometime next year, that those funds would be available. So we just have to put all those pieces together, so. And that's not what I don't know much about that. I'm gonna learn.
Hopefully you're good people.
Yeah, exactly. We have a team of lawyers who are professionals, and we do have our finance people at the library who are getting involved as well, so. Yeah,
We've got good signage out there right now.
Yeah,
Lined
that's
up on the
right.
streets I travel. all the
I'm
time,
glad. Yeah,
which is
they're
good.
supposed to be all over. That's
Now, where
right.
do you get those then?
That was in the foundation, the fundraising arm of the library. That was their initiative that they designed
Yeah,
those.
it was passing them out.
You know, they are.
Sorry, anyone who would like
Yeah.
a lawn
May-
sign
maybe
can
they're at the
come
library,
down
right?
to 21 Main
Yeah.
and pick one up.
Yeah.
My street's not very busy, but everybody falls when.
At the beginning, Tony's house is near the beginning. It might be able to get good signage.
Yeah,
there.
come by the library and
yeah,
pick one up. So you have a bunch, right, Jen?
I'm at the end of a dead end, so my house doesn't really help.
Get one for Paul's house too.
Excellent.
Oh, he's got good signage. Nice.
And one of those more after.
There you go. One of those. There you go.
Yeah, I see,
Yeah,
Jeff and. shoot. Today.
Jeff,
And Joanne,
oh, on Crawford's.
yeah. I see them.
Or they
See
got
their sign. It's like
oh, they
quite
have a sign.
prominent,
Oh, excellent.
Quite prominent
Okay, prominent is good.
on their fence.
Just a quick question on numbers. I'm just trying to sort of back envelope math. It sounds to me, not including the potential increase from the state, that you're about 75% of the way on fundraising, between the fundraising and the.
And the hopeful
state money?
things. Yeah, that's reasonable. Yeah. No,
I just figures,
Yeah.
call it 7,000.
Right, we have 6.7 left to raise. That doesn't have a piece that not accounted for, as it
Right.
were, not known. Yeah.
I think 25% or so left. Am I doing my math right? Thanks. That's a good start.
It is a very,
Not-
no,
not to
we're
just start, but-
actually pretty happy with how things are going, especially, those two big pieces coming up, which we'll know by when I come to you again in 6 months, we'll know a lot more about those two. The grant adjustment from MBLC and the federal program will be clear exactly what those amounts are. whether or not we
Fundraising
got-
committee is a funny thing because sometimes momentum creates momentum.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
And if you feel like it's only this or it's this, you just, sometimes the language on, but it looks to me like you're about 75% right there already. I think we should be celebrating that. Hopefully it's contagious.
I'm feeling good about it.
Can I
Yeah.
ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you, is it possible that at the current site, you could create a large poster of that out in front? And just to keep people, and maybe update it every 2 months or something, just to keep them aware with the fundraising website on the bottom as a visual.
Yeah, well, we're planning to put some things up on that. We're gonna have a fence, what, in August? When is that gonna go? There's gonna be some type of fencing, obviously, around the
Yeah.
site, and yeah, I certainly
That's
some
really
positive.
cool. I mean, I've
positive
seen that in
messaging.
some places that
Right.
you drive by and you can just
Mhm.
kind of, and you just check it and you say, oh geez, I wanted to give a donation.
Yeah, and also
And-
showing floor
And-
plans.
Yeah, and the exact, but have the URL of how people can find it, you
Mhm,
know, if they're interested.
Yeah.
And that might be cool.
Yep.
It's pretty, it's exciting, and everyone likes to see us coming together for something really good.
It's gonna be amazing, really is. It's gonna be a great building.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Very
I learned what a
well
monitor is last night
Oh,
at the
yeah.
height improvement
Right.
thing. I asked the question.
Right,
I never knew it was the former cupola, you know, I never knew that, like, what do you mean the monitor? I've never heard the word other than a computer monitor.
Right, or like someone who's
I think it was
watching over
Or
you.
the lizard.
Or the
Ron-
lizard.
Ron
there you go.
explained it to me. I said to Jason, I said, is that a dumb question? And he said, oh, no, that's not a dumb question.
No, not at all.
Who knows if that. needs to
Sometimes
be-
it's also called a clear story. when you
Well,
will
now
see.
that would have made sense.
You
I
hear
would have
that
known
term.
right away that was what that
Yeah.
was.
I've heard that too, yeah.
We had that at the last city council meeting for the height on a big home going up Folly Cove, 14,000, 2 people. Put a sign in front of their house.
All right. Yeah, any other questions or comments or
Keep up good work.
No, very good.
update?
Yep, and I guess we probably shouldn't give an update. We're waiting for you guys to come before the full council. We're gonna have, they're gonna come before the full council. We just haven't come before the NFB report out.
Yes, we're gonna report out our
Alright.
committee report, but we will encourage everybody to watch this. We should
So yeah,
send
so
the
we
Zoom.
we have the PowerPoint.
In the
so-
minutes, can we send out the Zoom to the counselors and the time during the Zoom recording and
No?
ask
Yeah,
that they watch
that'd be good, then I
this?
wouldn't have to, repeat myself.
Yeah, I
That's
think that's a good thing.
Repetition, might get one more donor at some point.
good. There you go. All right, great.
Murray, you said that the architect, did Belmont, Situate, where else?
Well, let's see, it's a Boston Public Library branch. I'm trying to remember what the Faneuil Hall or Faneuil branch or something. He mentioned that one on his website. I've never been there, but that was one.
And the award-winning one is
Eastham, I think,
Yeah,
right?
Easton.
Yeah, Eastham won a American Institute of Architects.
Not
Eastham, Eastham? How do you say that?
Eastham.
Eastham.
Yeah.
Eastham.
Anyways, go to that library, it's award
Oh, yeah.
winning. So yeah,
You have to go over the bridge for that.
you do. It's a lot.
There's a way out. Murray, Jen, elected officials, whatever the big name we want to call it, what can we do to be helpful in the fundraising? Not talking about sending money, and yeah, but like in
No,
terms of
we're
promoting
not
it.
really allowed to
Not-
fund.
Right.
We're
No,
not
no,
allowed
no,
to fund.
we can't collect money, but we can endorse
I
projects.
I
and-
think the positivity that you showed, especially in October, that was great, where everyone not just voted yes, but then said why the library matters to the city, and that's, people hear that, people get that, so that's important, so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would second that in saying that it is a priority for the city. That's important.
We're all connected to different.
So maybe when you report out, you
Hopefully-
could say something like
And
that.
hopefully the reporter will pick up on the presentation at city council and we'll do a piece,
Maybe so, yeah.
maybe, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, does report out mean that you summarize what happened at the meeting? What is?
Yeah, we may bring up your PowerPoint.
Okay.
That probably would be the best. Let's bring up your PowerPoint.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
that's-
if we do that, on
Because-
the committee report, then they should be speaking to the slides, I would think. If that's possible. I mean, I would be happy with that, just as long as you kept it to maybe 5 or 6 minutes, right? Just kind of, but I think you've got 5 or 6 PowerPoints that
Mhm, yeah,
are intriguing, so maybe with that. I would with that. How do you feel about
I mean,
that?
I'm fine with that. I just don't want to drag you guys to sit through.
I was gonna say, it's a little tricky because we actually have a library review.
Yeah.
oh, this is coming up this Tuesday?
Yeah, I'll be
Yeah,
reporting
that's not
on
gonna
it.
work well.
So.
Yeah.
We'll-
I thought you were saying you were just gonna show the Zoom for them or something.
No,
No, we
No.
were gonna ask them to see it,
Oh,
but then the
okay.
more I was thinking about it, I was, if we're gonna show screen share the slides, it would have been nice for you to be the ones
they're
discussing
they're
that.
pretty simple.
They're pretty
slides.
straightforward,
Yeah,
I would
they are.
say,
They're-
kinda look, I mean,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
I'll be able to.
So I think, yeah, Tony should be able to do that. So
I
so
will
that's
be.
great. So
And-
let's
and-
screen share their slides
And we
during
also
the committee
just,
report. Okay?
we also
I like
just
that.
recently saw a case where the bridge that we just did, over on West Gloucester,
Concord Street.
Walker Creek
Walker
Bridge.
Creek, yeah,
We just saw the increase due to, the state gave us the money to fill a big gap
oh, I'm glad to hear that,
of
yeah.
the increase due to, when it first went out to bid and then when the actual costs came out. We did have had a recent thing that falls with the MDLC,
Yeah.
your thing here. So we do have an example that
Mhm.
was positive of that the state is taking that seriously.
Should be, they need to be, because it's just, can't do these things without increase, oh.
So we should, if I may.
Hmm.
Probably November, December, we should have you back for the next 6-month
That sounds,
segment, and it
Expected,
would be
yeah.
before the new council takes office, so it would be timely for us to kind of
right,
close our relationship with this existing council.
And would you
um,
think to come before full council or like this? How would you?
I think we
always-
said to have them come before BNF, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so let's just do BNF,
Yeah.
but maybe we can do what
And
you
maybe
say.
if you guys are
know.
hitting some milestones, you may want to come before.
Well, there is
council,
that.
Because
Yeah,
that
that's
gives you
true.
some more exposure, so
That is
I think
true.
that's something that we could discuss.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're
we'll figure that
flexible,
out,
but let's put it on the cards, maybe around November, December.
Yeah, early December.
Yeah, let's touch base early. and,
Yeah. All
And
right.
then we'll be back at Kairos and
Yeah,
and that would be so
let's assume
exciting.
So, yeah, yeah.
And actually, then if you want to do the full.
So then Kairos will have hybrid everything,
yes,
right?
everything.
When is
yeah.
that expected to be?
Well, we're gonna get an update at the meeting on Tuesday, but the speakers are all in, all the
Yeah.
equipment is in. Now we have to just make sure that it's ready for use, and there's still some things going on. But we're gonna give an update on Tuesday.
Excellent.
But
Well,
probably
that's
don't
sooner
want
than I
to go
would've
too late
thought.
in November because then you're at the holiday season.
Right,
Right, so let's touch base and we'll get you on
Okay,
back to BNF and then make sure that you get some exposure.
great. Okay.
Great, thank you. May I just say something? It's not a question, but thank you for offering the library for so
Oh,
many
yes,
months.
The arts
I wrote that
For the
down.
Ed Foundation, that was an emergency.
Yes.
I know that
Yeah.
all of a sudden we were just
I know you called me like,
brainstorming.
what? Hello?
And it's
What?
like, Vern, we need you to find a space for the artwork and.
Jenny was on it
In a second,
immediately.
you two were talking and then
And
back
stickers.
to Emily, and then also, the beach stickers are starting on Monday, I saw. the
Starting on
tents are all
Monday.
ready to go right out front of
Woo-hoo.
City Hall, and that's really appreciated, so, and then you allowed us to use it for 3 meetings when we were trying to get back
Right, in
live,
person, yeah.
and, that was very appreciated, we got to know your facilities people, it was a nice space, so thank you so much.
You know, it's a
For being
community, we're a
good
community
sharers.
resource here, you know,
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what libraries are, so.
yes, they are very necessary.
Okay,
And
well,
your mission has changed so considerably over the last decade and going forward.
Doing more and more,
that
yeah.
It's.
Way cool. It's a feel good thing. Thank you.
Thank you for your attention and yeah, we'll see you again in November.
Thank you for
Yeah.
so much information in such a concise manner that's so easy to understand.
Jenny's very good at
Thank you for that.
Have a good board meeting next Tuesday.
Yeah.
You'll have more fun than we're having at our city council meeting, I'm sure.
that. Maybe so.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much. All right. Next on our agenda is the accounts having expenditures which exceed your authorization, but that's just for information purposes only. Thank you, Jill. I don't see anything here, Diane, that is a red flag.
Nope, Kenny just wanted me to note that, and actually there's just 21 accounts versus last time was 17, so 5 additional accounts, which brings the accounts in deficit increased like 54,000 from last time, so 767. But the 2 accounts that for the Council on Aging, we did receive the paperwork for the formula grant, so those will be removed,
Oh,
will be dropping off the next
Great.
time.
no, we've been talking about them for about 4 months now.
Yeah.
They're gonna be off on the
Yeah,
next one.
We'll be talking about them
Again,
soon, on July 1st.
soon, yes, we will. We'll be talking about
Hi,
it.
Jenny, thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
So not much change there, but he did want me to note that.
Great.
Oh, we still have 2 of them. Okay, go ahead.
There's one question, it's a very small overage halfway down this, I don't know, long-term, interest in long-term debt. It's only $5,800 difference, okay, that's not the issue. But for some reason, I probably kept last year's budget process, and that was a whirlwind for me being the first time. We pay $3.5 million, almost $3.6 million a year on interest on our long-term debt. That's not principal,
Not principal.
that comes out of the general fund.
Well, again, you know, that,
Combination,
depending on what it is, comes out of
water and
general
sewer,
fund,
but water.
water, sewer, Talbot Rink. It's soon gonna come out of waterways, because purchase of boats, comes out of the Community Preservation Act funds. So, yeah, it's spread.
Is that number, and I guess it was in our budget this year too, the long-term debt interest payments. But it was a little bit in every department.
Again, yeah,
Right.
so for example, we saw it 3 times tonight in each of the 3 enterprise funds.
Is that number collectively moving up? I'm guessing as interest rates are going up? and
Well,
long-term
no, I
debt-
mean, once you issue the debt, as permanent debt, as bond debt, then the rates are fixed. It's just when they're unissued or they're out there as short term, then they can be subject to the ups and downs.
When does short-term debt become long-term debt? Is that what you do, getting when you are bonding it? I don't need a.
Yeah, usually I'm not issuing, depending on certain situations, I'm not issuing debt until close to the end of the project. Because I'm looking to kind of match up what we actually spend. So what do we have to borrow? But, depending on circumstances, I borrowed 20 million for the elementary school project a year and a half ago. Because the rates are 2%. I had to.
That's awesome.
Wait, and again, it's a $5,000 difference, it's not 53, that's not relevant to the conversation today, so it's.
The city's debt service, there is a lot of it, because there's a lot of things that have to be done, and Gloucester is not alone in this. Many cities and towns spent next to nothing on capital improvements, from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and we're shocked that a school is falling down. Of course, we haven't put a dollar into it in 30 years, but so we're facing that like many others. Just like your home. Spend some money on it, eventually you'll be able to live in it.
I don't have any further questions on this report. Thank you.
Very good.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Surprise, surprise. All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Sherry.
all
Thanks,
you out
Diane.
there in viewer land.
Is there anybody else? Is there anybody else?
Actually, yes,
There was one attendee for a bit.
Good job.